So what IDE should you use? Well, in this course, I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code. And I'd highly recommend using Visual Studio Code because it's easy to use and it's perfect for Python. But if you have any IDE that you used to use, then use it and don't use Visual Studio Code. The most important thing is that you use an IDE or text editor that you feel comfortable coding with. But if your decision is to use Visual Studio Code, then you need to head on over to code.visualstudio.com and then you will be able to download Visual Studio Code. If you are using Mac, you need here to select to click here on download Mac, the stable version, and then you can install it on your Mac exactly as if you are installing any program on your Mac. If you are a Windows user, just select Windows and download the Windows version. And by the way, it's gonna here say download for Mac if you, it's gonna say here download for Windows if you are using Windows. So this is my recommendation. And again, if you have another IDE that you wish to use, go ahead and use it. So if you go to nodejs.org, you need to install version 8 or higher on your operating system, whether you are using Mac or Windows, it doesn't matter. You can install Node, go to nodejs.org and then click on the recommended version here. This is now 12.17 and you need to install a version that's 8 or higher. So click on this button and it's going to start installing, downloading Node. And once Node has been downloaded, you need to open it. And then once you open it, just click on continue. And then here you need to agree to the license. So click on continue and agree. And then it's going to start installing if you click on install. But I have already installed Node before, therefore I'm not going to click on this install. But if you click on install, it's gonna start installing and nothing more. It's just going to start installing and it's gonna give you a message here that says Node has been installed successfully, and that's it. So I'm gonna stop right here because I have already installed Node. So I'm gonna exit out of this window. And then once you have Node installed, what you need to do is that you need to open your terminal. Go to your terminal and open it. And if you are using Windows, you need to open CMD, Command Prompt in Windows. And let me zoom in so that you can see now. And in the terminal, you can type here Node and then -v in order to check if Node has been installed successfully or not. And as you can see, it's gonna, if Node installed successfully, it's gonna give you the version. And also you can check if npm has been installed, which gets installed immediately after you install Node. So I'm going to type npm, and then which is the, by the way, which is the package manager for Node components and Node packages, and then -v to check the version. Once you have run these two commands and made sure that these two made sure that Node and npm are installed, you can continue. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to create the project folder. And it's very important to create the project folder in a location where it's easy for you to access. So I'm going to create the project folder in my desktop. So in my desktop here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create here a new folder. I'm going to create a new folder and then I'm going to name it. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to name it project. Of course, you can name it whatever you want. And then what you need to do is that you need to drag this folder and drop it on Visual Studio Code and it will be opened. So once the project is opened in Visual Studio Code, as you can see, now we can start working with this project. Now we can start adding files and folders and structure our project. So the first step that we need to do is that we need to run a couple of commands. So here in my project, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to click on View and then Terminal, and this is going to open up a built-in terminal where it's going to allow me to run commands here inside Visual Studio Code. So I don't have to open up the external terminal that comes with my operating system. Instead, I can use this, and it's gonna do the same exact job. So here, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna type the following. I'm gonna say here npm and then install, and then hit enter. And as you can see, this is gonna create the package JSON. The second thing that we need to do is that we need to say npm. Let me here clear first, and then I'm gonna say npm, and then I'm gonna say init npm init -y, and then hit enter. And this is gonna create the package JSON. As you can see, the package JSON has been created. Now, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna install Express. So I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna run the following command in order to install Express. I'm gonna say npm and then install. Let me run this in a new. I'm gonna clear first, and then I'm gonna say npm install, and then save, and then express, and then hit enter, and this is gonna start installing Express. We also need to install the EJS, so I'm gonna say npm install EJS. So this is gonna allow me, and then I'm gonna say save. This is gonna allow me to pass data to the HTML, and then I'm gonna hit enter, and then this is gonna start installing EJS. And then the last thing that I'm gonna install is the request, in case we want to use it. So I'm gonna say npm install, and then save, and then request, and then hit enter, and this is gonna start again installing the request. And now we are good to go after installing this. On the left side, you will find that now we have a folder called node modules, which includes any module or any library that has been installed, such as the Express that I have just installed. So now we are good to go. Now we have all the packages and modules that we need in order to start working on our project. So now what we need to do is that we need to create here the files and folders that we need in order for our project to work successfully. So first of all, here we need to create the main starting point, which is going to be the index. So here I'm going to create a new file, and then I'm going to name it index.js. This is very, very important. This is going to be the main file, the main starting point, where whenever we want to run our application, this file is going to serve as the provider of everything, pretty much everything. It's gonna connect the modules with the front end, with everything. So this is very, very important. The second thing that we need to create is a folder called public. So here, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create a new folder called public, and this folder is gonna contain the CSS and JavaScript and images. So here I'm gonna, inside that folder, I'm gonna create 3 folders. I'm gonna say here new folder. First I'm gonna create the CSS, and then I'm gonna create another folder here, new folder, which is gonna be the JS, and finally I'm gonna create a third folder for the images. I'm gonna say image, img. So we have here in the public 3 folders: CSS, image, and the JavaScript. Now in the CSS, I'm going to create a file called main.css. And in the script, in the JavaScript here, I'm going to create a new file called script.js. So now we have these 3 folders, and they contain the main.css and the script.javascript. So this should be the content of the public folder. The last folder that we want to create is the views. the views is very important because the views is going to contain the HTML code. So I'm going to here create a new folder called views. And then inside that folder, I'm going to create a new folder, another folder called pages. Pages. And then inside that, we can create any HTML file that we want inside that pages. But I'm not going to create these files now, the HTML files, because I'm going to create them whenever we want them whenever we want to work on them. But for now, you need to know that in the views, we have a folder called pages. And inside that pages, I'm going to create the HTML. Whenever we have an HTML file, I'm going to create it in the pages. So as I told you, the index.js is going to be the most important file, and it's going to serve as the point that's going to connect everything in our project, and it's going to deliver the HTML to the user so that the user will be able to interact with the application. So this is why the index is very important. Now, the first thing that we want to do in the index is that we need to create a server, a local server, because obviously in Node.js, the purpose of using Node.js is to create a server that's gonna serve the pages to the user. So to create a server here, I'm gonna use Express. So first we need to import Express. So I'm gonna say here, let me zoom in first, and then here the first thing that I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna say var and then express, and then it's going to be equal to require and then express. Require, and then in single quotes, I'm going to say express. So this is going to import the express. And the express is already has already been installed in the node underscore modules. If you open the node underscore modules, you should find that we have the express here, express. So now I have imported the express. The second thing that I'm going to import is the EJS. So I'm going to say here var and then EJS, which is going to be equal to require, and then I'm going to import the EJS, which is going to allow me to pass data to the HTML whenever I want to. Now, what I need to do is that I need to create an object of this express. I need to create a variable. I need to use this express. So to use this express, I'm going to create a variable called app, and this app is going to be equal to express. Express. I'm going to call this function, this express function. So this express function is going to be stored in this app, and I will be able to use this app to create a local server. So now this app is very, very important because this app, I'm going to be using it throughout this file to create and deliver data to the user, to deliver pages to the user. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to create a server. So first, to create a server, we need to say here app, and then we need to call a function called get. We need to call a function called get. And then this function get takes two parameters. It takes the URL that you want. The parameter is the callback function that you want to use to send something to the user, to display something to the user. So I'm going to say here function, and then this function takes two parameters. It takes the request and the response. And then inside that function, you can return something to the user. So this function is going to return something to the user, and we can specify whatever we want to return to the user. So now that we have this callback function, what we want to do is that we need to return something to the user. So to return something to the user, we need to use the response, this parameter. So here I'm going to say res, and then that send, and then you can send whatever you want to the user. I'm going to say for now, I'm going to say hello. But now we can run our application, but we need to specify the port that's going to be used to run our application. So to specify the port, we need to say app and then dot listen, app.listen. And then we need to pass the port that we want to use. So usually I use the 8080 port. You can use whatever port you want. You can use 8000, you can use 8100, whatever port you want, but usually I use 8080. Now I need to save. I'm going to click on File and then Save. And the final step is that we need to run our application. So how can I run my application? To run the application, to run a Node application, first you need to open up the terminal. I'm going to click on View and then Terminal. And then in the terminal, you need to type the following. You need to type Node and then the name of the file. So what's the name of the file? The name of the file is index.js. So I'm going to say here index.js. And now if I hit enter, all I need to do now is that I need to head over to the browser and I need to go to the local host. So I need to go to localhost, and then colon 8080, because the URL is just /, which means that we need just to go to localhost. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to head on over to my my browser, which is Google Chrome. So as you can see, if I go to localhost and then colon 8080, it's going to send me this message. It's going to say hello. As you can see, it's going to just say hello here. So it worked successfully, and now the user will get this message whenever they go to this URL. So now we have a local server that delivers a very basic message to the user. So now what we need to do is that we need to deliver HTML to the user. As you can see here, I just sent a very simple message to the user. And rather than sending a text message, I'm going to send a HTML well-designed pages. So how can I do that? To do that, we need to render an HTML page rather than sending a message like this. But before I do that, we need to tell Express, hey Express, now we want to use HTML in our application. And to do that, we need to say app and then .use, and then what we want to use is that we want to use the express. I'm going to say express dot static and then public. So what is this? This is going to tell Express to use the public folder to deliver this public folder to use the static, to use the CSS and the JavaScript and the image in our application. So this is very important. This is a very important step. The second thing that we want to use or want to do is that we need to say here app and then .set, and then we need to pass two parameters. The first parameter is that we need to say view engine. The second parameter is the EJS. This is basically going to tell Express to set the view engine to EJS. So it's going to tell Express to use the EJS as our view engine. So these two things are very important. Now what we need to do is that we need to create the HTML file. So remember here in the views pages, I have created a folder called pages, and I told you that here in this pages we can create any HTML file we want. So here let's create our first HTML file. So here I'm gonna right click on this pages, and then I'm gonna create a new file, and then I'm gonna name it index. But instead of giving it a extension of HTML, we need to give it an extension of EJS, because the EJS is now being used as the view engine. And then hit enter. And now we have our first HTML file. And don't freak out if you don't know what this AJS is. This AJS is just going to just make things easier in terms of sending data to the HTML. And here in this index that EJS, we can use HTML. Don't worry about that. We still can use HTML and CSS normally. There is no problem at all. Let me show you that. Here I can here say h1, and then I can say hello world. As you can see, I can use HTML here. Now in the index .js, I'm gonna return this HTML to the user. So what I'm gonna do here is that in the index, instead of saying response.send, I'm gonna say response.render. And then I'm gonna specify the page, the HTML page that I want to return. So here, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna say pages, and then / and then index, because I want to return the index, this index. I want to return the index that's inside the pages. So we need to say pages and then / index. And we shouldn't say views. Views is already known by Node. So Node already knows that the views is used for HTML. So don't worry about that. All you need to do is that you need to specify any subfolder inside the views, and then the name of the file that you want to return without the extension. So don't say EJS. Never do that. It's not gonna work. You need to say pages and then / and then the name of the file without the extension. So now what we need to do is that we need to test. We need to test whether this is gonna work or not. So if you head on over to the browser and refresh, nothing is gonna happen. So why is that? The reason is because whenever you edit, whenever you change something in the index, what you need to do is that you need to open up the terminal. You need to open up the terminal, and then you need to click on this icon. You need to kind of close down the terminal completely. And then you need to open up a new terminal. And then in the new terminal, you need to type the same command. You need to say in the new terminal node and then index.js. And now hit enter. Now if I head on over to the browser and refresh, as you can see, I'm gonna get hello world, which is the h1. Remember, this is the h1 message. This is the h1 file. This is the h1 hello world. So this is how it works, and this is how you should always restart the server. You need to close down the terminal first, and then you need to open up a new terminal in order for this to work successfully. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to include this template into our project. And since this is not an HTML and CSS course, I'm not going to create the template from scratch. Instead, I'm going to use this template for my project. So to use this template, you need to follow a few steps. And if you want to use your own template, feel free to do so, but you have to learn how to the steps you need to take in order to include this successfully. So what we need to do is that we need to open the project and the template. So I'm going to leave this template for you. I'm going to leave it. You can download it. So on the right side we have the template, and on the left side we have the template, and on the right side we have the project. So in the project, we need to create in the views pages, we need to create these HTML. So I'm gonna copy this and then paste it here, and then I'm gonna rename this to cart.ejs, and then I'm gonna create another one. I'm gonna name it checkout.ejs. We also need about. I'm gonna create another one called, this one is gonna be called about.ejs. And finally we need products. Rename this. I'm gonna rename this. I'm gonna say products.ejs. We also want single product. I'm gonna here say single underscore product dot ejs. Now I'm gonna open these. For example, I'm gonna open the index in Sublime Text or any text editor, and then I'm gonna Control A to select all, and then copy. And then in my project, I'm gonna open the index.ejs, and I'm gonna remove everything, and then I'm gonna paste the code. Similarly, I'm gonna open the cart, and then select everything and copy, and then I'm gonna paste it in the cart.ejs. Next, we need to open the checkout, and then copy everything, and then paste it in the checkout.ejs. We also have the about. Let me open it. And then copy everything, and then paste it in the about.ejs. Finally, we have the products and the single product. I'm going to open the products and then copy everything, and then I'm going to paste it in the products.ejs. And finally, we have the single product. I'm going to copy everything, and then I'm going to paste it in the single product. Now I'm going to save everything, save all, and we are done. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to include the CSS and the images and the JavaScript from the template. So we need to open the CSS from the template and select all of these. We need to select all of them. Here, all of them, select all of them, and then copy, and then paste them in the public, here in the project, in the public, in the CSS. And we need to do the same with the images. I'm going to open the images, and then I'm going to select all of the images, all of them, and then copy, and then I'm going to paste them in the images folder of my project, which is this. Finally, we need to open the JavaScript, and then we need to select all of these and then paste them in the JavaScript. However, since the template here, we are using images instead of img, I'm gonna rename this to images. Images. Now, if you let me run my project, terminal, and then I'm gonna run my project, and let me head on over to the browser and refresh. Now the template will work. As you can see, this is the template. Now we have the template. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to install a library called body parser, a module called body parser. So to install it, we need to open the terminal, and then we need to type in the terminal npm install body -parser, and then hit enter. And this is going to start downloading the body parser module. Now here, if it says like this, it means that it has been installed. Now we need to import it. So at the top of the index .js, I'm going to say var body parser is equal to require body parser, body -parser. And we also need to add a piece of code, a configuration here. After this app, we need to say app dot use, and then body parser dot URL encoded, and then we need to pass a an object, and this object will have a key and a value. So the key is extended true. We need to say extended true, true. So this is the piece of code that we need to add in order to start using the body parser. And then click on File and then Save. ApacheFriends.org, you will be able to install XAMPP, where you can install PHP and the Apache server and also MySQL database. And you can download the XAMPP application depending upon your operating system. So I'm going to click here on click here for other versions and choose your operating system. And I'm going to choose XAMPP for Mac, and the version is going to be 7.2. So this one, I'm going to download this one. Click on download. And once it's finished, you can now open the installer. And the process is very, very simple and straightforward. For all operating systems, you can just click on a few nexts and it will install XAMPP for you. So if you are using Mac, then you can follow along. If you are using another operating system, then the process is very, very similar and it's self-explanatory. And it might ask you for your PC or Mac password, so you need to type it. And it will open a wizard where you can just click on a few nexts and it will install XAMPP for you. So here, once here it opens this wizard, click on next, and then make sure you check these two and click on next. And then here it says that it will be installed, XAMPP will be installed inside applications/XAMPP folder. Click on next. And you can check or uncheck this if you wish to learn more about XAMPP. And then finally, just click on next and it will start downloading. Finally, once it's finished, you will find that XAMPP has been installed in your applications. So as you can see here, I have XAMPP, and these are all of the files. In order to use PHP version 7, you need to head on over to your terminal and make sure that you are using PHP version 7. So here I'm going to type PHP and then version hyphen version or V, and here it says 7.2. And if it doesn't say here PHP 7.2, then you need to make sure that you add XAMPP to your path. And in order to do so, just open your bash profile. And inside bash profile, make sure to add these two lines at the end of the file. Path equals to /applications/XAMPP, all capital letters, and then /XAMPP files, /bin, and then colon, and then $ path, and then export that path. So these two lines are very important in case your Mac is using PHP version other than 7.2. So make sure you add these two lines in your .bash profile and then save. Make sure that you save. After that, click on save. And of course, you need to close the terminal and open a new terminal. And make sure that you are now using PHP version 7. First of all, to download PHP, we are going to download Champ. So click Champ inside Google, and now you have this website, apachefriends.org. Click on it. And now you have all the downloads for all the operating systems available. Click on the one that you are using. I'm using Windows, so I'm gonna click on Windows, and here it says the version of PHP. It's 7.2. Click on it, and it's gonna start downloading. And after it's finished, what you need to do is just click a few nexts, and you are good to go. And this is here a short video that tells you how to do so. It's just a few next. It's not difficult at all. I'm gonna stop here downloading because I already installed it. So after installation, you should find it here. As you can see, I already have it. So if you click on if you search after installation for XAMPP, you have the control panel. Click on it, and you have this panel. And the one that we are going to use is the Apache, the server, so that we make our computer as a server. You need to click on Start, and the MySQL as well, so that we can use MySQL for Laravel. You need also to click on Start.
Welcome back. From now on, you need to open XAMPP, and then you need to make sure that your MySQL database is running. Click on Start in order to make it work, and then the Apache web server, select the Apache web server, and then click on Start. And then they must say here running. So we need to wait until it says here running. So as you can see, running. So always make sure that your MySQL database and the Apache web server are up and running, because if they are not up and running, you will not be able to continue working on the project. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to install MySQL. So the first step in order to install MySQL is that you need to open the terminal. So I'm gonna here click on View in Visual Studio Code. I'm gonna click on View and then Terminal. And then I'm going to type the following command. I'm going to say npm install and then MySQL, and then hit enter, and this is going to start installing MySQL. So as you can see here, it says up to date, audited, blah blah blah, and so this is how you can install MySQL. Now we have MySQL and we can start using MySQL. Welcome back. Now we need to start using MySQL, and in order to start using MySQL, you need to follow a few steps. The first step is that you need to open XAMPP and make sure that it's up and running. Make sure that XAMPP is up and running, and your MySQL database as well as your Apache web server are up and running. The next step is that we need to head on over to the browser and then type localhost / dashboard, and then click on PHP My Admin. The next step is that we need to click on user accounts. So if you click on user accounts, you'll find so many accounts. The one that I'm going to be using is this one, is root 127.0.0.1, and the password is nothing. And by the way, we can use localhost rather than typing 127.0.0.1. So I'm going to be using, instead of using this number, because it might be confusing for you and you might not understand these numbers or this IP mean, I'm going to be using the last one, which has a host name of localhost. So now we need to open the project, and in the project we need to import MySQL. So at the top I'm going to say var MySQL is equal to require and then MySQL. The third step, this is the second step. The third step is that we need to here establish a connection. So I'm going to say MySQL dot create connection, and this create connection takes an object. So I'm going to pass an object, and this object will have the following. First, the host. So the host is going to be if you go back to MySQL database, you'll find that here we have the local host. So we need to say host name is localhost. Here I'm going to say local host, and then comma, and then user. The user is root. Remember, the user here, username is root, and the password is nothing. So I'm going to say user root, and then comma, and then password. The password is empty, and the last thing is the database. So we need to create a database. In order to create a database, we need to head on over back to MySQL to PHPMyAdmin, and in PHPMyAdmin, I'm going to click on Home to go to the first page, and then I'm going to create a new database. Here I'm going to click on New, and then I'm going to create a database. I'm going to name it Node underscore project, and then I'm going to click on Create, and now we have a new database called here Node, as you can see, Node project. Now here in this object, we need to say node database node underscore project, and we are done. So these are the steps that we needed in order to start and establish a connection with the database. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to add some products into the database. So the first step is that we need to open XAMPP, and then we need to start the MySQL server and the Apache web server. And then we need to head on over to the browser and type localhost/dashboard, and then click on PHPMyAdmin. Now you will be taken to PHPMyAdmin, and we have the database. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to here create a new table here. The table name is products, and the products table will have here almost 7 columns. So the first column is the ID, the second column is name, the third column is description, and then price, and then sale price, sale underscore price, and then quantity, and then image. So for the ID, it's going to be integer, and it will be auto increment here, auto increment, and primary. It's going to be primary. The primary key is the ID. The name is going to be varchar 255. The description is going to be text. The price is going to be float. The price is float 8, 2. What this means is that it's going to contain it's going to consist of a maximum of 8 digits, and 2 of these 8 digits are the digits after the point. So the maximum number that we can add is 6 nines and 0.99. So this is the maximum number. The sale price is also here float 8, 2. You can increase this to 10 if you wish. If you want to have 10 digits, and 2 of those 10 digits are after the point, you can do this. The quantity is integer. The image is text, and we are done. Finally, click on save, and the table will be created. Let's insert here a few products. But before I do so, I'm going to insert 2 more columns here. I'm going to insert the category, and the type. So the category is going to be varchar 255. The type is also going to be varchar 255. And then save. And I'm going to also say here null. Now if you click on the structure, you will find that we have now 9 inputs, 9 columns. Also, we need to change the sale price. We need to click on change, and then we need to make it null. We need to make it nullable, meaning that it could be null, because you are not going to provide sales for all your products. Therefore, if your product doesn't have a sale price, it's going to be null. Now make sure that your sale price says here null. This is very, very important. Now let me click on insert and start inserting products. Whenever you are inserting a new product, it's very important to know whether you are going to provide sale or not. If you are providing a discounted price, you need to type the discounted price here in this blank. However, if you are not providing a sale price, you need to keep this checked. Keep this checked. So again, if you are providing a sale price, you need to type the sale price here. For example, $3.99, and uncheck this. You need to uncheck this and then type here the discounted price. For example, the original price is $4.99 and the discounted price is $3.99. However, if you are not intending to provide sale price, you just need to check this. Check this and keep this empty. This is gonna make the sale price null. Whenever the sale price is null, it means that you are not providing a sale, and the original price is the price that will be the price that the customer will be charged. Whenever you are inserting a new product, it's very important to know whether you are going to provide sale or not. If you are providing a discounted price, you need to type the discounted price here in this blank. However, if you are not providing a sale price, you need to keep this checked. Keep this checked. So again, if you are providing a sale price, you need to type the sale price here. For example, $3.99, and uncheck this. You need to uncheck this and then type here the discounted price. For example, the original price is $4.99 and the discounted price is $3.99. However, if you are not intending to provide sale price, you just need to check this. Check this and keep this empty. This is gonna make the sale price null. Whenever the sale price is null, it means that you are not providing a sale, and the original price is the price that will be the price that the customer will be charged. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to display the real products that we have, because these products are hard-coded. Instead of displaying these products, we need to head on over to the database. We need to connect to the database and get these products that we inserted into the database. To do this, we need to head on over to the index.js, and then here we need to make connection. So we already have this code. We can copy this part, copy, and then I'm going to paste it in the /root here. I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to store it in a variable. I'm going to say var con is equal to MySQL connection, and here we need to say the name of the database. So the name of the database, if you head on over to the database, you'll find that the name of the database is node.js, node project. Therefore, I'm going to say here node_project. So this is the name of the database. Next, what we need to do is that we need to use this con. I'm going to say con, and then query, and then the query is, the first parameter is the query, which is select all from products, and then comma, and then arrow function with two parameters. The first parameter is error, and the second parameter is the result. Now inside this arrow function, what we need to do is that we need to copy this line, the render. We need to copy it, and then we need to paste it inside here, inside this arrow callback function. And we need to return, we need to say comma, and then return with the result. Now we can use this result in the index.ejs to display the result. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to loop over the fonts that we got, the result that we got, and display everything we have stored in the database. Everything that we got from the database will be displayed now. So let me open the views and then index, and then in the index we need to look for the products. So the products the products are in this section. If you scroll, you'll find that we have here, we have this, we have this, we have this, but the products is here. This is the end of the header. This is the about, brand, and the client, and then the footer. So the if you search for phone, let's search for phone here, here. So here, this area brand, under this brand. So here, what we need to do is that we need to remove these products and keep only one. I'm going to remove this, 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 and this. So I'm going to remove these, and I'm going to keep only one because we need one to use it for the loop. So here I'm going to create a loop. I'm going to say smaller than, and then percentage, and then space, and then result dot for each capital E, for each, and then function, and then inside the function we need item, and then here curly bracket, and then percentage, and then greater than. And you have to be very careful with this syntax. And then at the end of this, we need to close the curly bracket. So here I'm going to say percentage, smaller than, and then percentage, and then we need to close the curly bracket, and then we need to close the here we need to close the curly bracket, and then we need to close the bracket, and then percentage, and then greater than. Now in between we need to display the data, the keys. We need to access the keys. So the keys are, the first key is for the image. For the image we need to say here, we need to say greater than, and then percentage, and then equals to, and then item dot image, and then percentage, and then greater than. And then for the price we need to say percentage, smaller than, and then percentage, and then equals to, and then percentage, and then greater than. And in between we need to say item dot price. And then here we need to say smaller than, and then percentage, and then equals to, and then percentage, and then greater than. And in between we need to say item dot name. And we are done. Let me save, and we can now head on over to the browser to test. So I'm gonna first open my terminal, and then I'm gonna close down this one, and then I'm gonna open a new terminal, and then I'm gonna say node, and then index.js, and then hit enter. Now in the browser, let me refresh. I'm gonna refresh, and as you can see, we will get the real products. We have here Samsung phone, 399, and in the database the first product is Samsung phone, and the cost is 399. The second is iPhone 7, 799, and that's correct, iPhone 7, 799. So now we got the real products we have in the database. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to display the sale price. Some products have sales. Here, some products we have sales, and others don't have. For example, here, this one, it has a sale, but I'm going to remove this just to show you the difference and what's going to happen when we have a sale, when we are offering a discounted price for some product, and when we aren't providing a discount. I'm going to show you the difference and what we should do. So what we should do is that we need to check whether we have a discount or not. And to do this, we need to use if statement. So here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add some space here, and then here I'm going to use if statement. I'm going to say smaller than, and then percentage, and then if, and then I'm going to check the item dot sale price, sale underscore price. If we have a sale price, then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to display the original price, and then I'm going to say here style, and then is equal to text decoration line through, and then I'm going to display the discounted price above. So the discounted price here, I'm gonna say item dot and then sale underscore price, and I'm gonna remove the line here because this is the original price. Here, by the way, it should be a hyphen, text hyphen decoration. Else, if we don't have a sale, if we are not offering, I'm gonna say here else first you need to close the curly bracket and then else, and then open a new curly bracket and then percentage and then greater than, and then here we need to close the curly bracket, and in between, if we don't have a sale, we just need to display the original price, which is this, without the text, without the line through. I'm gonna remove this line through. Let me now save and let's test. I'm gonna open the terminal and then I'm gonna test. I'm gonna refresh and we have here an error. Let me check where the error is. So the error is here. I forgot to close this. Let me save and let me refresh. And as you can see now, if we have a discount, the discount will be displayed here. This is a discount, this is the discounted price, and this is the original price. However, if we aren't providing a discount, such as in this phone, we just display the original price. So now it looks much better and looks amazing because now the customer will be able to compare the original price with the discounted price, and they can base their decision on this discount that you are providing. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to download the Express session in order to be able to use the session in our application. So to install the session, the Express session, we need to open the terminal. I'm going to click on View and then Terminal to open up the terminal. And then in the terminal, I'm going to type the following. I'm going to say npm install express hyphen session and then hit enter, and this is going to start installing the express session which is needed to use the session. Now in the index, what we need to do is that we need to use the session. We need to, at the top, we need to say here var and then session is equal to require and then express hyphen session. We also need to we also need to set the secret of the session. What is a secret? A secret is just a key that is important for the session to work properly. And to add the secret, we need to say app.use and then session, and then this session is going to take an object. This object has key and value. The key is secret, the value secret. The value can be anything. It must be a string, but it can be anything. It's usually a long string of characters. You can name it whatever you want. I'm gonna say secret. It's better to name it secret because it's simple and easy and straightforward. So this is how you can install the session and specify the secret, and then we can now continue working on the project normally. Welcome back. From now on, you need to make sure that your MySQL database is running and also the Apache web server is running. Otherwise, you will get this error. So let me now refresh. If I refresh, the error will be gone because I started the MySQL database and the Apache web server. Now we need to add a button here that says Add to Cart. So I'm gonna open the index.ejs, and then I'm gonna create here below this
I'm going to create a form. I'm going to say form, and then I'm going to give this form action. The action is going to be / add underscore to underscore cart and method. The method is going to be post because we need to make a post request. Inside this form, we need first a button. I'm going to say input, and that input is going to be submit. The type is submit, and the value is add to cart. Now, if you head on over, if you run your script, of course, to run your script, you need to click on view, and then terminal, and then you need to type node. You need to type node and then index.js, and then hit enter, and this is going to start the server. Now, if I refresh, you'll find that we have a button for every single product. We have a button, but it doesn't look good, so we need to fix it. To fix it, first I'm going to move this form inside the div. So I'm going to copy this form and remove it and paste it here inside this div. Now, if you save and refresh, you'll find that the button is inside the container, inside this container. As you can see, it's inside the container. However, we need to give it some style. I'm gonna say here class btn hyphen primary. Now, if you refresh, you'll find that it looks much better now. As you can see, it looks much better. Now, what we need to do is that we need to add to this form. We need to add the product details, such as the price, the name, all of these things, because by doing this, we will be able to add the product to cart. So we need to store in this form hidden inputs. The first input is going to be hidden because we don't want to display it. We are just using it to store data. The name is ID, and then the value is going to be equal. The value is going to be equal to greater than, smaller than, and then percentage, and then equals to, and then item dot ID, and then percentage, and then greater than. That's it. This is for the ID. We need to copy this ID now, input, and paste it many times. We need to paste it here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, because we need to store also the name. I'm gonna say here name, and then name, and then we need also the price, and here price. We also need the sale price, sale underscore price, and then sale price, sale underscore price. We also need the quantity. I'm going to say here quantity. However, here we cannot say item.quantity, because if we do so, we will get the quantity from the database, and this is incorrect. Here we are not displaying the quantity we have. Here we are getting the quantity that the user is going to buy. Therefore, here we need to say 1. By default, I'm going to add 1 item to cart, and then later we will allow the customer to increase or decrease this quantity. Lastly, I'm going to say image, and then item.image, and we are done. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the button. The next step is that we need to create this add to cart root or URL in the index.js. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to create the add to cart URL and get this data from the form. So I'm going to open the index.js, and then in the index.js we need to say here app.post, because we are using now a post request. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say / add underscore to underscore cart, and then comma, and then function. This function is going to take, as usual, the request response. Now inside this function we need to get
the data from the form. So to get the data from the form, we need to say request rec.body dot and then the name of the element that we are interested in. So if you open the index.ejs, you'll find that we have the ID, the name, the price, the sale price, the quantity, the image. We need to get all of them using their names. So here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say request body.id, first the ID, and I'm going to store it in a variable called ID. So ID is going to be equal to this. And then var request var name is equal to request.body.name. And then var price is equal to request.body.price. And then var sale underscore price is equal to request.body.sale underscore price. And then var quantity is equal to request.body.quantity. Finally, we need to say var image is equal to request.body.image. We need now to add these in a variable called product, because these inputs or these variables refer to a specific product. Therefore, we need to say product, and then we need to create an object. I'm going to say object, and then I'm going to store these by their names. So I'm going to say ID colon ID, and then comma name colon name, and then price, and then sale price, and then quantity, and then image. Finally, before we continue, make sure that you have the body installed. So at the top of the code, you need to make sure that the body parser here is installed, and make sure that you have this line app use body parser.url encoded extended through this line of code. Now we are done with this part, and we have this product. Make sure that this is also correct. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to continue working on the add to cart function. So in order to add a product to cart, we need to store it in the session, and we already installed the session. So before we store it in the session, we need to check whether this is the first product or not. I'm going to say if, and then request.session.cart. If there's something in the cart already, it means that the user has already added something to cart, and we just need to get the cart from the cart first and then append the data to it. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to say inside this var cart is equal to request.session.cart, because we already have a cart. And then we need to check whether there's a product in the cart or not. So I'm going to say if, and then I'm going to create a function called is product in cart, and then I'm going to negate this. I'm going to say exclamation, which means that if the product is not in the cart, what we need to do is that we need to push that product in the cart. So we need to say cart dot push, and then we push the product. We push the product in the cart. And then else if we don't have a cart, let me push this. Else if we don't have a cart, we need to create the cart. So we need to say request.session.cart is equal to an array of only one product, which is the first product. And then I'm going to say var cart is equal to request dot session dot cart. And then we need to return to the cart, and I'm gonna work on this later. Now we need to focus on checking whether a product in the cart or not. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to create this function is product in cart. So here I'm gonna create a new function. Here I'm gonna say function, and then I'm gonna name it is product in cart, and it's gonna take two parameters. The first parameter is the cart, and the second parameter is the ID of the product that we have, that we want to check whether it's in the cart or not. So we need to pass here two things. We need to pass two things. We need to pass the cart as well as the ID. So here I'm going to say cart and then comma ID. Now let's work on the function. So this is the function is product in cart. How can we check whether a product in the cart or not? Well, it's fairly simple. All we need to do is that we need to loop over the cart using for loop. I'm going to say for let I is equal to 0, and then I is smaller than cart dot length I plus plus. So here what we need to do inside the for loop, we need to get each product and to compare it with the ID. If the ID matches, it means that the product in the cart. If there is no match, it means that the product is not in the cart. So I'm going to say here if, and then cart of I dot ID is equal to ID. If that's true, it means that the product is in the cart. So if this is true, we need to say return true. And then outside the loop, we need to say return false. So if there is no match, and if we end, if the for loop ends, it will return false, which means that the product is not in the cart. However, if there is a match, it will return true. Therefore, here in the add to cart URL, we here when we call this function and when we negate this, it means that the product is not in the cart. If it returns false, then we push the product in the cart. Else we don't push the product in the cart because the product is already in the cart. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to continue working on this URL add to cart. So once we add the product in the cart, what we need to do is that we need to do two things. First, we need to calculate here, total. We need to calculate the total amount and also the quantity. So I'm going to create a function called calculate total, and this function is going to take two parameters. The first parameter is the cart, and the second parameter is the request. Finally, we need to say here return to cart page. And in order to return to the cart page, we need to create a URL called cart. So I'm going to say response, short for response, and then redirect, and then we need to redirect to /cart. That's it. Now we need to work on the calculate total, and then we need to create this URL. So I'm going to create this URL. I'm going to say here app, and then dot get /cart, and then comma, and then function, and then request response request response. And later we will work on it. Now we need to work on the calculate total. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the calculate total function. So at the top here, I'm gonna create a new function,
let me close this function, and then here I'm going to say function, and I'm going to name it calculate total, and it's going to take two parameters. The first parameter is cart, and then the second parameter is the request. Why would we need the request? We need the request because it contains the more information about the request, and we will also be able to use it to get the total to store the total in the session, because the request has access to the session. So here I'm going to say total is equal to 0, and then we need to loop over the products to calculate the total. I'm going to say for, and then let I is equal to 0, and then I is equal to 0, and then I is smaller than the cart dot length, and then I plus plus. And we need to access here I smaller than cart dot length, and then I plus plus. Now inside this loop we need to say if cart of I sale price, if we have a sale price, then we need to use the sale price. We need to say total is equal to total plus cart here, cart of I dot sale price. Else before we do else, we need to multiply this by the quantity. So I'm going to say here multiply, and then cart of I, and then multiply by quantity in order to get the total. Else we need to use the price. Total is equal to total, and then total plus cart of I, and then dot price, and then multiplied by cart of I, and then quantity multiplied by the quantity. And finally we need to store this in the session. So I'm going to say request dot session, and then I'm going to create a new key called total is equal to the total, and then we return total. We need to say return, and then total. Let me explain this function. So this function is going to take the cart and the request. First, the total is 0, and then in order to get the total, we need to loop over the cart in order to get each single product from the cart and get both the price and the quantity. Here, if we have here, by the way, I should say like this. I should close this bracket, square bracket. Here, if cart ID sale price, it means that if there is a sale price, if we are offering a sale or a discounted price, then we need to use the sale price. Else it means that we are not offering any sales, therefore we need to use the price, and then we multiply the price by the quantity to get the total. Here, by the way, I should say like this, and then remove this from the end. And then finally we say request session dot total to create a new key in the session, and we store the total in the total key, and then we return the total. Here in this function, in the calculate total, make sure that the syntax is correct. So here we need to say cart, and then I of I dot sale price multiplied by cart I dot quantity. Make sure that this is dot quantity, not asterisk. So here dot quantity. Make sure that this is dot quantity, and then click on file and then save. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to get the cart and the total and display them in the cart page.
So to get the cart, we need to say var cart is equal to request.session.cart, because the cart is stored in the session in a key called cart. Similarly, we need to say var total is equal to request.session and then dot total. Now we can pass these down to the cart. So to pass them to the cart, we need to say here response res dot render, and then we need to render the pages, and then / cart. Similar to this. We need to say pages / cart, and then comma, and then we need to pass with us two keys and two key value pairs. The first is the cart, and then comma, total. And we are done with this part. The next step is that we need to head on over to the cart and access the cart and the total and display the products that are stored in the cart. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to open the views pages cart, and then in the cart we need to loop over the cart. So here we need to say smaller than and then percentage, and then cart dot for each with a capital E, and then we pass a function, and then item, and then here we need to open a curly bracket, and then we need to say percentage, and then greater than, and then at the end of this table we need to say smaller than, and then percentage, and then we close the bracket, we close the curly bracket, and then the bracket, and then percentage, and then greater than. Now in between we need to display the information of each product. So here instead of name we need to say smaller than, and then percentage, and then equals to, and then item dot name, and then percentage, and then greater than. And then we need to use this format. I'm going to copy this format, and then I'm going to paste it here. Here I'm going to display the price. So I'm going to say here item dot price, and then here I'm going to display the total, the subtotal. The total here the quantity first. The quantity is 1. By default the quantity is 1. So we need the price and the name, and we need here the subtotal. So the subtotal here is equal to the item dot price multiplied by the item dot quantity. We also want to display the image of the product or products. So to do this we need to say here images, and then / and then greater than, and then smaller than, and then percentage, and then equals to, and then item dot image, and then percentage, and then greater than, and we are done. Let me now save and test. I'm going to save. Also make sure that you close the bracket above the table. So make sure that this is above the table tag. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to here determine which price we will display. So if there is a sale, we need to display the sale price. If there is no sale, then we need to display the price. Therefore here we need to say smaller than, we need to use if statement, we need to say smaller than and then percentage, and then if, and then item dot sale underscore price. If there is a sale, then we need to say here percentage, and then greater than, and then here we need to display the sale price. So I'm gonna here copy this and then paste it. I'm gonna say item dot sale underscore price. Else I'm gonna say here else, curly bracket, and then else, and then curly bracket, and then percentage, and then greater than, and then here price, and then close this curly bracket, and we are done. Also with the quantity below here, with this quantity, with the subtotal, we need to do the same thing. So I'm going to say here if statement, and then I'm going to say if sale price, sale underscore price, then we need to use the sale price to calculate the subtotal. So I'm going to say here item dot sale underscore price, else curly bracket first, and then else, and then curly bracket, and then we need to copy this line, and then paste it in the else here, and then we close here this syntax. Here this is the syntax. So again, this is gonna work like this. First, if there is a sale, we need to use the sale price, else we use only the price. So here, if sale price is not null, if sale price is available, if we are offering, if we are giving a discount, then we need to use item dot sale price to calculate the subtotal. Else it means that the sale price is not provided. It means that we are not giving a sale. Then we need here to say item that's price multiplied by the quantity. Also here I forgot to say item dot sale price. I should say item first, item dot sale underscore price. That way we will be able to use this if statement. We use this if statement to determine whether there is a sale or not. So again, that's item dot sale price, and then if there is a sale price, we multiply the sale price by the quantity, else we multiply the original price by the quantity, and then we display the subtotal here in the table. Also make sure that you close the bracket above the table. So make sure that this is above the table tag. Welcome back. Now we need to test. In order to test, first of all, make sure that your Apache web server and MySQL both are up and running. Next, you need to click on View and then Terminal, and then here, let me close this terminal and let me open a new one. And then I'm gonna here type node and then index.js and then hit enter, and then in the browser, now if I refresh, I will be taken to the website, as you can see. Now let's add a product to cart. So if I click on add to cart, it will add this product to cart. So as you can see, the product has been added to cart. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to display the total here. Instead of this 100, I'm going to remove it, and then I'm going to say here smaller than percentage, and then equals to, and then total, and then percentage, and then greater than. That's it. Now the total will be displayed here instead of this total, instead of the old total, which was just a number, a hard-coded number. Now we will get the total and it will be displayed here. Welcome back. Now we need to work on removing a product from the cart. So how would we be able to remove a product from the cart? Well, in order to remove a product from the cart, we need to know that product. And to know the product, we need to use a form with hidden inputs. So I'm going to say here input, and then I'm going to store in this input, I'm going to say hidden, because we don't want to display it. We just want it to be there, but it's hidden. We want it to be hidden. And then I'm going to give this input a name. The name is ID, and the value is the ID. But the value is the ID of the product, because in order to remove a product, we need to know its ID. So I'm going to say here smaller than, and then percentage, and then equals to item.id, and then percentage, and then greater than. Now we need to activate this form. So to activate this form, we need to give it two things. We need to give it method. The method is post, and action. The action is the /remove underscore product. That's it. Now we need to create this remove product URL in the index.js. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to create this remove product URL. So I'm going to open the index, and in the index we need to create this. We need to say here, we need to say app.post and then /remove underscore product and then comma and then function request response response, and then we need here to remove the product from the cart inside this function. So to remove the product from the cart, we need to know that product, and to know that product we need the ID. So how can we get the ID from the form? Remember, we have here this form. In order to get the ID from the form, we need to say var ID is equal to request dot body dot ID. That way we will get the ID from the form, from this form. The ID now is here stored in this ID variable. Now we need to get the cart in order to remove the product from the cart. So I'm going to say var cart is equal to request.session.cart. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to loop over the cart and try to find the product ID. So if the ID is there, if the ID matches the one in the cart, we need to remove that product. So I'm going to say let I is equal to 0, and then I is smaller than cart dot length I plus plus. And then if cart of I dot ID is equal to the ID, then we need to remove the product from the cart. So to remove the product from the cart, we need to use a function called splice. So I'm going to say cart.splice and then I'm going to pass the index of, I'm going to say cart and then index of I, and then we need to say comma 1. That way we will remove only one product, which is the product that has this ID. Finally we need to recalculate the total, because a product has been removed. When a product is removed, we need to recalculate the total. So to recalculate the total, we just need to call the calculate function. I'm going to call the calculate total function, and I'm going to pass two parameters. The first one is the cart, and the second one is the request. And then we need to redirect the user to the cart page after the product is removed. To do this, we just need to say res.redirect, and then we need to redirect to /cart, and we are done. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to test. So to test, first of all, make sure that your Apache web server is up and running and your MySQL database, and then click on view and then terminal and then node and then index.js and then hit enter. Now let's head on over to the browser. In the browser, I'm going to refresh, and now I'm going to add the product to cart. Let me add a product to cart, and then I'm going to try to remove this product. If I click on remove, the product will be removed from the cart. As you can see, the product has been removed from the cart. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the product quantity. We need to allow the customer to increase and or decrease the quantity of each item they have in the cart. To do this, we need to add two buttons here. I'm gonna rename this input. I'm gonna say input type submit, and value is minus here, and then name is gonna be here decrease underscore product underscore quantity, and I'm gonna create another button. I'm gonna copy this, and then I'm gonna paste it below, and I'm gonna say here plus, and then I'm gonna say increase product quantity. Between them, we need to copy this line and paste it between them. I'm gonna paste it here between these two, and then I'm gonna say input type number, quantity, the name is quantity, the value is 1 by default, and then we can increase this or decrease this. I'm gonna also say here read only, and here I'm gonna say text instead of number. If you don't put this in between the decrease and increase, it's not gonna look good, because we want to display we want to display the decrease on the left side and the increase on the right side. If I hadn't done this, I wouldn't have had a good design, because this must be between them. Now we need to create another input, but this time this input is going to be hidden, and this input will store the product ID. So I'm going to say hidden, and then value. The value is going to be smaller than, and then percentage, and then equals to item.id, and then percentage, and then greater than, and then the name is ID. Now we need to give this form method and action. The method is post, and the action is / edit underscore product underscore quantity, and we are done with this part here in this HTML code. The last thing that we need to do here in this form is that we need to display the quantity. Here it says 1 by default, but we don't need this. Instead, we need the edited quantity. So we need to say here greater than, and then percentage, and then equals to, and then item, and then dot quantity. By default, it's going to be 1, but when user changes the quantity, it will increase or decrease. And we are done. Let me save here, and we are done. Welcome back. Now we need to create this URL, edit product quantity. So in the index, I'm going to say app.post, and then / edit underscore product underscore quantity, and then comma, function request response, request. Now the first step here is to get values from the inputs. So from the inputs, we need to get everything. We need to get the ID, we need to get the decrease product quantity, we need to get the quantity, and we need to get the increase product quantity. So I'm gonna get all of them. To get all of them, we just need to say var ID for the ID, and then I'm gonna say request dot, and then body, and then ID.
we need also the quantity. I'm going to say var quantity, and then is equal to request dot body dot quantity, and then var increase btn increase button is equal to request dot body dot increase underscore product underscore quantity, and then var decrease button is equal to request dot body dot decrease underscore product underscore quantity. Before we continue, it's very important to double check your syntax, because any very small mistake could ruin your code. So you wouldn't be able to continue if you have here a problem. So make sure that your syntax is correct. Welcome back. Now we need to work on the increase and decrease button. Let's start with the increase button. So before we work on the increase button, we need to get the cart from the cart session. I'm going to say from the session, I'm going to say cart is equal to request dot session dot cart, because we need the cart in order to increase or decrease the quantity of a specific product. Now we need to check whether which button user clicked on. So if user, I'm going to say if user clicked on the increase button, we need to increase the quantity of that product. So I'm going to say if increase button, and then inside that increase button we need to loop over the cart and get the product that the user wants to increase its quantity, and increase the quantity of that product. So I'm going to say here for let I is equal to 0, and then I is smaller than cart dot length, and then I plus plus. Let me add here some space and here some space. Now we need to in order to know which product the user wants to increase its quantity, we need to compare it with the cart ID. So I'm going to say if cart I dot ID is equal to the ID of the product that the user wants to increase its quantity, then we need to increase the quantity. Here we need to increase the quantity. However, before we go ahead and increase the quantity, we need to make sure that the quantity is already greater than 0, because if the quantity is less than the 0, it doesn't make sense to have a quantity that is negative or 0. We cannot have 0 or negative quantity. Therefore, we need to say here if, and then cart of I dot quantity. If the quantity is greater than 0, then we need to increase that quantity. We need here to say now, inside this if statement, we need to say cart of I dot quantity is equal to parse int, and then cart of I dot quantity plus 1. That's it. Now we will be able to increase the quantity. Now for decreasing the quantity, before we work on decreasing the quantity, we always need to recalculate the total. So here I'm going to say calculate total, and then I'm going to pass two things. I'm going to pass the cart, and I'm going to pass the request.
And then finally we need to redirect to the cart. I'm going to say response.redirect and then cart /cart. Now we need to work on the decrease. Decrease is going to be the same. I'm going to copy the same exact code and then I'm going to paste it here. However, the only difference is that we here need to say decrease button, and here we need to say -1. We need to say -1. This is very, very important. And also here we need to say if cart quantity is greater than 1, and we are done. Finally, we need to fix here a typo. I should say decrease button, and here decrease product quantity, and here also we need to say decrease. So make sure that the spelling is correct. If you have a typo, it's not gonna work. None of this will work. So make sure that double check your syntax and make sure that the spelling is also correct. Let's now test. I'm gonna click on view and then terminal, and then I'm gonna say in node index.js. Also make sure that your Apache web server is up and running, and also your MySQL database. Now let me add something to cart, for example this, and then I'm gonna try to increase it. If I increase it, it will increase, as you can see, 2. If I click on minus, it will go to 1, and if I click on minus one more time, it will not go below 1, because 1 is the least amount that the user can buy. So we cannot sell 0 products. It doesn't make sense. Welcome back. Now we need to create 3 tables. So first you need to open XAMPP and make sure that the server, the MySQL database and the Apache web server both are up and running. And then in the browser, go to localhost/dashboard. And then click on phpMyAdmin. And then select the database. This is the database, node project. And then type here the name of the table. So the name of the table that I'm going to create is called orders, which is going to store the orders of your customers. And then we need to here specify the number of columns that we have. So we need 9. We need here 9 columns. And then I'm going to click on go. The first column is the ID. I'm going to say ID, and it's going to be integer, and it's going to be auto increment, and it's going to also be the primary key. Then we need the cost. The cost is decimal 8 2, and then we need the name of the person, and it's going to be varchar 255. We also need the email, which is going to be varchar 255. We need the status, which is going to be varchar 255. We also need the city, which is going to be also varchar 255. And then address. The address is going to be text. The phone number, which is going to be varchar 255. And then we need date, and the date is going to be date time. Here we need to select date time and click on save, and this is going to create the table. The second table that we need to create is called order items, and it will have 8 columns. So I'm going to say here order underscore items, and it will have ID, and then order ID, and then product ID, and then product name,
product name, and then product price and image, product price, and then product image, and then product quantity, and then order date. So we need ID, and then order ID, and then product ID, and then product name first, product name, and then product price, and then product image, and then product quantity, product quantity, and then order date. The ID is going to be integer, auto increment, primary. The order ID is going to be integer. The product ID is integer. The product name is varchar 255. The price is decimal 8, 2. The product image is going to be varchar 255. We also have the product quantity. The quantity is going to be integer. The order date is going to be date. And then click on save. The third table that we need is going to be the payments. So I'm going to click on new, and then I'm going to create this table. This table will need only 4 columns. I'm going to name it payments. And then we need the ID. It's going to be auto increment, and primary, auto increment primary. Make sure that this is primary. And then we need order ID, which is going to be integer. And then we need transaction underscore ID. The transaction ID can be text or varchar. Let's say text. And then date. The date will be date time. Make sure that the date is date time, and then click on save. Now you should have three new tables here. You should have payments, you should have orders, you should have order items, and also you should have products. So we have these tables. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to use the big int instead of integer. So I'm gonna open my PHP, my admin, and then we need to open the database, and then we need to open 3 tables. The first table is the orders table. Click on it, and then click on structure, and then you need to change this to big int. So I'm going to click on change, and make sure that this here says big int. So big, again, that's big int. Big int. Let me remove this. I'm going to say big int. And for the make sure that it's big int, and make sure that this is empty here. Make sure that you keep it empty, and it will be assigned automatically by the database. The second thing is that we need to open the order items, and we need to click on structure, and then we need to change these 3 to big int. I'm going to say change big int, and then remove this, and then save. And then here big int, remove this, and then big int, and then save. And also the product ID, big int, and then remove this. And then in the payments table, we need to change also the ID structure, and then change
big int, and here as well big int. So you might be wondering, why would we want to do this? The reason is because sometimes we might want to store longer number. So if the number is smaller than 11 digits, is greater than 11 digits, it will not be stored. Therefore, when we say big int, when we assign a field uh, to be a big int, we will be able to store up to 20 um, digits, which is a very big number, because usually the IDs are numbers and they are too long. Therefore, whenever we use the big int, we will be able to store longer numbers, which is very important when it comes to IDs and order IDs. Welcome back. Now we need to start working on the checkout form. So in order to check out, we need to have two links: one for displaying the checkout page, and one for taking the data from the fields, from the inputs. So I'm gonna say app.get and then / checkout. So this is gonna take the user to the checkout page, checkout, and then comma, and then function, and then request response, and then inside this function we just need to take the user to the checkout page. So I'm gonna say res dot render, and then we need to say pages / checkout. That's it. This function is just gonna take the user to the checkout page. We need to create another route, another URL called place order, and it's going to be of a post request. So I'm going to say app.post and then / place _ order. This URL is going to handle submitting the form. So I'm going to say here comma and then function, and then we need to say request comma response. Now before I work on this function, on this route or URL, let's use these in HTML. So I'm going to open the views, and then I'm going to open the cart. In the cart button here, this button, we need to say method, and the method is going to be get, and we need to say action. The action is going to be equal to / checkout, because once the user clicks on the on this, we need to check out. We need to take the user to the checkout page. On the other hand, the checkout page will allow us to submit the data, will allow us to take data from the user. So here in this checkout, we need to say in the form, we need to say method and action. Method, the method is going to be post, and the action is going to be / place _ order. This is very, very important. We need to place the order using this, and we are done with this. We just need to make sure that here this has these fields have names, name for the name, and for the email, name email. For the phone, the name of the phone is phone, the name of the city is city, and the name of the address is address. Now we need to work on the place order route or URL in order to take this data from the form. Welcome back. Let's now work on the place order. In order to take the data from the user from the form, we need to create variables. So I'm going to start with the name. I'm going to say var name is equal to request dot body dot name, and then we have, after the name, we have the email. The second thing we have is the email and then phone number. So I'm going to say var email is equal to request body email, and then var phone is equal to request body phone, and then var city is equal to request dot body dot city, and then address var address is equal to request dot body dot address. We also need the cost and the status and the date. So the cost is stored in the session. So we can say var cost is equal to request dot session dot total. The total is the total amount that is stored in the session and is the amount that will be charged. The customer will be charged. Next, we need the status, whether it's paid or not. Obviously, it's not paid. The default is not paid. So I'm going to say var status is equal to not paid. And then after the user or the customer pays, we change this from not paid to paid. We also need to specify the date. I'm going to say var date is equal to new date. The next step is that we need to insert these into the database. And to insert these into the database, first we need to copy a line of code, which is actually a few lines, which is my connection. I'm going to copy this, copy, and then I'm going to paste it here below this. And then I'm going to store it in a variable called con. Var con is equal to this. And then we need to use this con to connect to the database. So I'm going to say con dot connect, and then this is going to take a callback function with an error. It's going to say error, and then if we have an error, we need to say if error. If there is an error, we need to display that error in the console. I'm going to say console.log and then error. Else it means that there is no error. If there is no error, we will go ahead and insert the data into the database. So to insert into the database, we first need to have a query that will insert to the database. I'm going to say var query is equal to insert into orders, which is the table that we want to insert to. And then what we want to insert is that we want to insert the cost, the name, the email, the status, the city, the address, the phone, and the date, and then values question mark, and then after this we need to create an array with the values that we want to insert into the database. So I'm going to say var values is equal to an array with these values: first cost, and then comma, name, and then email, and then status, and then address, and then phone, and then date. These values now will be replaced by this question mark will replace the values will replace the question mark. And finally, we need to call a function called query. I'm going to say con dot query, and then we need to pass the query, and then question mark, and then comma, and then in our array we need to say values, and then comma, and then arrow function with error and result. I'm going to say error, and then comma, result, and then inside this we just need to return to the to any page, preferably to a thank you page or something like this. So I'm going to say response dot redirect, and then I'm going to redirect to forward slash thank you page, or to the payment page. So for now, I'm just gonna here say payment forward slash payment, and later I'm gonna work on it. But for now, I'm gonna keep it like this. But we need to create here a payment. We need to say new, and then payment dot EJS. Also here, I should say yeah, cost, because here cost is the first one, and then name, email, status, and then city. I forgot to say here city, and then comma, and then address. So make sure that they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another thing that we need to fix is that here, this, we need to add this in another array. So we have to say here array, and then here we close the curly, square bracket. So we need to add it in double arrays. So this is very, very important. If you don't add this into another array, it's not gonna work. So again, this is double array here, and then we pass another array into the first one. So make sure that you have two arrays. Also here we need to say app dot get, and then forward slash payment, and then comma, and then function, and then response, comma, request response, and then we need to return to the payment page. I'm going to say res.render, and then we need to return to we need to say forward slash, and then we need to say pages, and then forward slash payment. So this is very, very important. You need to add all of these things. Welcome back. In the checkout page, we need to pass the total, because we want to display the total in the checkout page. So to display the total, I'm going to say var total is equal to request.session.total, and then I'm going to pass the total down to the checkout. I'm going to say here comma, and then object, and then total, and then in the checkout, let me open the checkout. In the checkout, we need to display here the total. I'm going to say greater than, smaller than, and then percentage, and then equals to total, and then then percentage, and then greater than, and we are done. Welcome back. Let's now test. So in order to test, I'm going to open the terminal. I'm going to click on view and then terminal, and then I'm going to say node index.js, and also make sure that your Apache web server and MySQL both are up and running. Now in the browser, let me refresh localhost 8080, and this is gonna take me to the website. Let me now add something to cart. I'm gonna add this to cart, and then I'm gonna check out. Let me check out. I'm gonna fill out the form, which is this form. Let me fill out this form. And let me click on checkout. So if I click on checkout, as you can see, it took me to the payment page, which is empty for now. Let's check the database. So in order to check the database, I'm going to go to localhost and then dashboard. Now in the phpMyAdmin, let me open the orders table. I'm going to open the node project, and then I'm going to open the orders table. So as you can see, if you open the orders, you'll find the order has been inserted into the database. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to add a new field to the orders table. So I'm gonna here create one after the date. I'm gonna click on go, and then I'm gonna say products underscore IDs. So the IDs of the products that we want to store, and it's gonna be text. And then I'm gonna click on save. Now in our application, we need to create here a variable called var products underscore IDs. And to get these IDs, we need to use the session cart. I'm going to say var cart is equal to request dot session dot cart. And then we need to loop over this. We need to say for let I is equal to 0, I smaller than cart dot length I plus plus. And then inside this loop, we need to append the IDs of the products to the products IDs. I'm going to say products underscore IDs is equal to products underscore IDs plus cart of I dot ID. And then finally here we need to say plus and then comma, because we need to add comma between the product IDs. And then we need here to pass it, we need to say comma and then products IDs, and also here we need to say comma and then products underscore IDs, and we are done. And here we need to say products IDs is equal to null, is equal to empty string, so it must be equal to empty string at the beginning. Also here I have a typo. I should say phone, not product here. I should say phone. So make sure that these elements match the ones in the query. So first we have cost, and then name, and then email, and then status, and then city, and then address, and then phone, and then date, and finally products IDs. So make sure that here cost, name, email, status, city, address, phone, date, products IDs match the ones in the query.
Let's now integrate a payment system into our project. And to do this, we need to select a payment system. And I'm going to be using PayPal because PayPal is one of the best payment options out there. And I think it's going to be just amazing and it's going to help us a lot. And I think it's just one of the best options, and I'm going to be selecting PayPal. So in order to start integrating PayPal, the process, first of all, you need to know that the process is pretty long. And I'm going to be dividing the process into a small and few steps, short steps, so that you understand. So the first step is that you need to create a PayPal account. You need to head on over to paypal.com and then create an account. However, you need to create a business account, not a personal account. So just head on over to paypal.com and then click on sign up. And then after you click on sign up, you need to select business account, not personal account. You need to select business account. And then click on next. And if you don't find this option, by the way, you need to convert your account after you create a personal account. You need to convert the account to a business account from your account after registration if you don't find this option. But you will find this option for many countries. So here what you need to do is that you need to type your email, and that's it. Pretty simple. Just type your email, and then of course you need to verify your email, and that's it. So the process is very simple and straightforward. I'm not gonna continue because I already have a PayPal account. So here all you need to do is that you need to type your email and then click on continue and just fill out the next form that you are gonna get, because the form will need to be filled, and then just confirm your email. So that's it, and of course you need to verify your email. So after you have done all of this and after you have finished registering, you need to head on over to
developer.paypal.com. Again, that's developer.paypal.com. This is the URL that we need to use in order to be able to integrate PayPal into our project. So you need again to head on over to developer.paypal.com and then click on log in to dashboard. And then you need to type the email and the password that you have just created with PayPal, the business account here. So let me type my business account here. So after you type your email, you just need to click on next. And then you need to type your password here. And then you need to click on login. So after you log in, you will find in your dashboard you will find apps. And what an app is, an app is just a project. So for every project that you want to integrate um, PayPal into, you need to create a separate app for it. And I'm going to be showing you how to use apps. And what's important here is that we have two tabs here, one for sandbox and the other for live. The sandbox is used for testing. The live, of course, is used whenever you are ready and you want to publish your application where real people will pay real money and will use your projects or web applications, websites, whatever. So here on the left side we have your account, we have the sandbox. So what's important here is the sandbox. Here you need to click on accounts and you need to create two accounts. One account will represent the buyer and the other one will represent the owner, because the buyer is going to pay to the owner. So you need to create two accounts. Let me show you how you can do that. First, you need to click here on create account. And now I'm going to create an account which is going to be a personal buyer account. So the buyer again will pay to the business account. So I'm going to here select the country. You need to select your country and then click on create. And then here it's going to say the sandbox account was created successfully. So this is a sandbox account. This is a testing account. So we need to create another account that will represent the owner, the business. So you need to click here again on create account. And then you need to create a new account, which is going to be this time a business account. Click on business. And then you need to select your country. I'm going to be selecting here the United States. And then click on create. And then here it's going to say again the sandbox account was created successfully. And if you scroll, you will find all of the accounts that you have. So here I have these accounts that I just created. One is a business account, which is going to represent the owner, and the other one is the buyer, which represents the customer or the buyer or the user. So the personal account will pay to the business, and you need to remember these emails. So I'm gonna be using, of course, in order to pay and in order to test, we need to use to log into the system using this personal account. I'm gonna be showing you that, because the personal, again, this account will pay to the business account. So you should by now have these two accounts on these three dots, and then click on edit account, edit view edit account. You will find that this account has been initialized with a money with around 5,000, I think. If you click on funding, you will find that it has $5,000. So this account has $5,000. And for the business account, it will, if you click on funding, here, funding, you will find that it has also $5,000. So the reason why this is important is because after testing, the amount of money will increase for the business and will decrease for the owner, for the personal account. So this is the second step. The third step is to create an app. So you need to click on My Apps and Credentials and create a new app. So here what you need to do is that you need to click on create app. Here, click on create app, and you will be able to create an app. So this is very, very important. You need to create an app, and you need to give it a name. I'm going to say here my project, just my project. And then I'm going to click on here. You need to select your merchant or platform, and here I'm going to select this option. And then this is very important. You need to select the business account. So the business account that I have just created is this one, is this email, and then just click on create app. That's it. Pretty simple. Now after you create an app, you will find that this app has a client ID and a secret. These two are important because these two I'm going to be using to add them into our project, and by using these we will be able to connect to PayPal. Otherwise we will not be able to connect to PayPal. So these client ID and secret are the sandbox API credentials, and whenever we go live we will be requesting another API, another client ID and secret, and change. We also need to change the project here from sandbox to a live. That's it, and you will be able to use this for real money so that people will pay you. So here, as you can see here, it says sandbox API credentials. So this is the sandbox. This is for testing. This is just for testing. And if you scroll, you'll find many options, and by default you will have these options: accept payments, invoicing. Just keep these as they are because these are important. You need to. Welcome back. So now if you click on my apps and credentials, you will find all of your apps, and here if you click on live, you will find your project here. If you click on it, you will find the live credentials. So what is the difference between sandbox and live? Live credentials will allow you to receive real money from users. So if I click on my project here, you will find here it says my project, and you will find PayPal account and client ID and secret. So these three are very important because these three will represent the live credentials. So the PayPal account is your real PayPal account. The client ID you will use in order to connect to PayPal and get real money, and of course the secret. If you click on this it's going to show you the secret key, and this is for the live. If you go back and click on my apps, and if you click on sandbox, you will find here your project. If you click on it, you will find your credentials, the sandbox account, the client ID, and the secret. But this is for testing. So again, you have two options. You have the sandbox and the live. The sandbox is used for testing, which I'm going to be using, and then whenever we go live, we just need to use the live credentials. That's it. Pretty simple. Welcome back. Let's now work on the payment page. So in the payment page, we need to copy the code from the cart because it's going to be similar. I'm going to copy the code from the cart, and then I'm going to paste it in the payment. However, I'm going to remove the table. This table, let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove this table. This table, I'm going to remove it. The complete section. So we will end up with this. We need to say payment here. I'm going to say payment. The next step is that we need to get the PayPal's button and display it here. Welcome back. So now it's time to start integrating PayPal into our project. And the first step is that you need to log into your developer.paypal.com, and then we need to select one of the options. So first of all, you need to know that in order to integrate PayPal into your project, there are so many options, and I'm going to be using an option called checkout. So you need here, after you log in, you need to click on docs, just hover over it, and then here click on get started. Here click on get started, and after you click on get started, just click on accept payments, and then click on checkout. So this is the method that I'm going to be using. It's called checkout, and this method is going to allow us to
receive payments from customers. So after you click on checkout, just click on set up standard payments. Click on it. And as you can see, this method is going to allow us to add a button that we can customize and add the amount of money that we want to receive from customers. And all you need to do now is that you need to click on integrate PayPal checkout for online payments. Click on it. And here it's going to give you a very long steps here, a very long guide. But the problem with PayPal is that it's very complicated. Therefore, I'm going to make the process very easy for you by just dividing the steps into short and easy steps. So the first step is that here in this page, all you need to do is that we need to get a code, a piece of code that's going to generate the button that you have seen shortly, which is this button. That code is going to generate that button into our website, into our project, and then we will be able to receive payment from our customers. And before I continue, you need to know that PayPal regularly and consistently changes the location of this method in their website. So you need to, sometimes you might not find it here, so you need to look for it. You need to click again on docs and then get started and then look for it. But the method is called checkout, and then just set up standard payments and then integrate. Now the first step is that we need to get the code from PayPal. So the code is this code. This is the code. Let me show you where is the code. This is the code. The code starts from here. So you need to start copying from here this script and all the way down to the end of the script. You need to scroll and copy all of this code. You need to copy all of this code. Let me copy all of this code. Let me copy all of this code. So we need to get all of this code. Let me copy it. So we need this code. Don't copy the other part. Just copy starting from the script all the way to the end of the script. Copy it. Just copy it. And then you need to head on over to your project and paste it. And I'm going to show you where you need to paste it, because of course, you shouldn't paste it in any file. You need to paste it at a specific location. So I'm going to paste the code in the bottom. In the bottom of this page, what we want to do is that we want to paste the code here. Paste. And then we need to get the here we need to get the client ID. So let me get the client ID and replace it with this. I'm going to remove this test. As you can see here, it says client ID is equal to test. We need to remove this test, and then we need to paste the client ID. So in PayPal, just head on over again to your account and log in, and then click on your project, the project that you are using for this, the project that you have created for this project. So I'm going to click on it. So once you click on it, you will find the sandbox account and the client ID. You need to copy your client ID and head on over back to the project. So let me copy my client ID. So I'm going to paste the client ID here. I'm going to paste it and make sure that you paste it in the right place. So you need to paste it right after the equals. So here client-ID is equal to, and then paste your client ID. And then currency, and currency is equal to USD. So we are done with this part. The next step is that we need to copy this. We need to copy it. PayPal button container, this container. We need to copy it, and then remove it, and then paste it here. Here, we need to paste it. Right after the payment here, we need to paste it here. Paste. So this is the container. This is the button itself. The button will be displayed here. Another thing we need to do is that we need to change the total. So here we have the total is this. We need to open the index JS, and then in the index, in the payment, we need to pass here. We need to say var total is equal to, and then we need to get the total from the session. I'm going to say request dot body dot request dot session dot total, and then we need to pass the total here. I'm going to say comma and then total, and then I'm gonna here display the total. I'm gonna here pass the total instead of this hard-coded number. I'm gonna say here smaller than and then percentage and then greater than and then equals to and then percentage and then greater than, and in between we need to say total, and we are done. Also here above the button, I'm going to display the total. I'm going to say H2 and then I'm going to say total and then $sign and then greater than, smaller than, and then percentage and then equals to and then total and then percentage and then greater than. And let's also center this. I'm going to center this. I'm going to say text center, and we are done. Finally, we just need to click on File and then Save, and we are done. Let's now test. So I'm going to add something to cart, for example this, and I'm going to click on Checkout, and then I'm going to fill out this form. And then I'm going to click on Checkout. So if I click on Checkout, I will be taken to the payment page. And as you can see, the payment page will display this total, and we have the PayPal's button.